Awesome. Welcome to Time to Come Alive is our weekly coaching session, an opportunity for us to really just become more conscious, to connect with one another and with ourselves, and then also an opportunity to create something new in your life, create something with the people or the organizations that you're involved with. And today we have a wonderful, special friend of mine joining us. It's going to be our special guest for the day. Her name is
Yay.
Blanco. Hey, Isabel.
Hola, hola.
Hola. So happy to have you here today. And we'll get into the nitty-gritty of Isabel's time with us and what she's here to accomplish. But before we do that, I'd love to just take a moment to ground ourselves and to just be kind of to create the space for the conversation that we're going to have with Isabel and then with the rest of you today. So for that, wherever you're sitting or standing or whatever you're doing, as long as it's safe, of course, just plant your feet on the ground, center yourself in wherever you're sitting. Allow the seat that you're in or the place you're standing to take on your weight. Really the space that you're in. Okay. I just want to start off by taking some really deep breaths. Breathe through your nose. Helps to breathe out through your mouth. Do that a couple of times. And if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, you may. If not, you just want to soften your gaze. Feel free to do that as well. And we're going to take a moment to look inward for a bit. And in preparation for this conversation, to think about where in your life or where in your body, perhaps, do you feel stuck? And when I say stuck, that could be where you don't feel freedom. Perhaps you don't feel that there's any movement or progress. Perhaps there's the sense of boredom, might be dissatisfaction, anything, whatever the word stuck means to you. Just want you to think, where might that be showing up? If it's showing up physically, notice where it is. Is it emotional? Is it stuck in your heart? Is there a particular body part, part of your muscles or your joints, or do you notice that tension someplace in your body? Is that the stuck feeling? And then ask yourself, what is that feeling or what is that place that's stuck there to tell you? What's it telling you? What's it teaching you? Just take a deep breath as you're focusing on that area of your life or of your body. And my invitation today is, as we have this conversation with Isabel, is for you to listen for yourself from where you've been stuck before or where you are stuck now. And engage in the conversation or listen from how this might serve you to move, where this might serve you to honor or to acknowledge, where this might serve you to relax and accept. Right? So really apply to your own life or to your own experience so that we can listen openly, we can listen and be accepting, we can listen and see how this may or may not apply in your life. Take another final deep breath, cleansing breath. And you may open your eyes or refocus your gaze when you're ready. All right, welcome back. So let's start off by, first of all, I wanted to introduce my special friend here, Isabel. Isabel and I have known each other for about 3 years now, I believe, right? Since 2015, I believe. It's so, oh my God, 4 years. Yikes.
A little over 3 years.
Yeah, phenomenal. And one of the things I so appreciate about you, Isabel, and the reason why I thought you'd be a great person to have on the session today is your love of life. You know, I always mention that the time to come alive is really about acknowledging moments or people or situations that bring us life. And life doesn't necessarily always mean fun, but it just means that you're engaged, it's you're present, you're up to do something. And man, you're always up to do something.
Most of the time. Yes.
Oh yes, I that's how you show up for me. That you're up for something constantly.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, and I wanted you to share some things that like, what are you up to? I know that you're a mom of 3 children currently.
Three, almost four, 5 more
Almost
weeks.
4. How many more weeks?
5 weeks. 5 weeks.
5 weeks. Oh,
Yeah,
you had a good time then.
yeah. So yes,
Oh,
I'm about to have my fourth, which was completely a surprise and unexpected. It was nowhere ever in my books. It was nowhere ever in my thoughts. It's been a crazy ride. Yeah.
well, cool. I'm glad that for whatever reason or whatever had happened that you have a fourth on the way. It's a really good reason. I'm sure there's a strong purpose for it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So
Your child will be excited.
yes, I am, and it's going by so fast. And honestly, it's going by like nothing. And I think with my other 3 kids at this point, I was so miserable, and right now I'm just really still like, okay, what is there to do? What do we got to do? Let's make some stuff happen. So yeah, it's definitely a completely different experience. Yeah.
Oh, you're a pro now. You're like, yeah, this.
That's true. At 4, you probably definitely should be a pro already.
That's what my mom says. There are 4 of us. I have 3 brothers, and so yeah, my mom. She's like, look, and had twins the last time. So what? What are you gonna tell me? I got this.
That's true. She got it. She got it. Yeah, that's true, Valerie. That's true.
The other
So
thing I know about you, Isabel, is that you're also an invitation graphic designer. I don't even know what other type of designer, but that design is also part of your like, creativity.
yes, so I actually started off in 2005. I literally just woke up one day. Well, actually, okay, so I was planning my wedding, and then I was looking for invitations, and I just couldn't. I had something in mind, and I just couldn't find what I wanted. I went to several different stores. I looked online, and I just couldn't find what I wanted. And I had something in my heart. I had the vision of what I wanted, and I just couldn't find it. And one day I went to the craft store, and I found the material that I had in mind, that I had pictured, and I was like, oh my God, I am going to make my own invitations. And literally at that moment, I decided, this is what I want to do. Like it was so crazy. It was just from one day to another. And I really loved the idea of doing that. So I took on learning how to make invitations, and we started making handmade invitations. And then I got into designing. So I am now a invitation designer, and that is my specialty, invitation designer. And then I started taking on other type of design, and then we got the opportunity. People started creating for us. Hey, do you do stuff for parties? And we're like, well, I don't really do much. And they just kept asking for it, asking for it. We started looking into making centerpieces and things like that. And then people started asking, hey, do you guys decorate? And we're like, well, not really. We're doing other things. And then, oh my God, we just kind of let our heart go to that. And we have fallen in love with event decorating. It's just been wow. And so I'm an event decorator as well. And it is just such an amazing thing to do. It fills our heart so much when we get to be a part of an event and we see the finished the finished design, and we're like, oh my God, this is so gorgeous. We can't wait to see the pictures of the event. And I think what's so magical about what we do is that, it's not, we get to be a part of a special celebration for someone, and we get to be a part of their unforgettable memories. I know that what we do is where the people take pictures, and that is one of the biggest highlights of their event. And we know that we get to be a part of those memories. So whenever years later, when they look back at their pictures, they we're going to be there in the background. We're there in the background. What we did is there in the background. So it is definitely something that we have fallen in love with.
One thing I'm hearing as you're not only sharing about what you've done in the business, but also even in motherhood, you say yes a lot. Seems to be yes, 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 we'll do that. Yes, I'll make my own invitations. Yes, I'll have another child. Yes.
Try that.
Where does that come from? Just saying yes to whatever shows up.
That's a good question. Well, I think that because in the bottom of my heart, I think that we've like to take on the challenge. And I mean, it looks like something interesting, looks like something we would like to do. And of course, we always like to be challenged. So I think that that's one of the things that has made us just go ahead and start taking on different stuff. And also that feeling of fear is always present, and it's like, okay, well, let's take that on. Maybe we should take it on. Maybe we should make it happen. So, and the fear is just definitely always present. I mean, that feeling of, oh my God, should I do this? Should I do that? And I think that, definitely when that shows up, it's like, well, what is there to lose? I mean, let's try it on. So we definitely start taking on a lot of different stuff.
What would you say is the first time you remember taking on a challenge that you're really excited about? And why did you take it?
I would say opening the business. So I started in 2005 working from home, and I would just do it. I would just design invitations for just a couple of whoever I would know, and just throughout the years, whoever would refer me. But it's something that I always had in my heart. And it wasn't until my sister, one day she came up to me. She's like, you know what? I'm miserable in my job. You're miserable in your job. She's like, why don't we go ahead and just open the business? And I was like, so I think that was definitely the biggest challenge that we've had. Or at least, that I felt I had, because back then I was just always wanting to be in my comfort zone. I didn't think anything was possible, and different stuff like that. So I think that was the biggest challenge that we've had. And, once we did that and we got it out of the way, then it's like, hey, wait a minute. I mean, if I did this, that to me was so, I felt it was like such an impossible thing. Like, what else can I do? Like, so then from there, it's like, okay, let's take on whatever.
I want to go back to what you said about the comfort zone. What did being in a comfort zone look like for you? What were you doing, or what was the experience?
Um, ah, Valerie, you just took me back to like a long time. Stuff I didn't even remember. Oh my God. Wow. My comfort zone, being at home. Being at home wishing I could be out there doing something. Um, and not because I didn't want to be home with my kids and my family, but I think knowing that there is a bigger purpose and knowing that I could serve as something else, that I was bigger than being a stay-at-home mom, um, and that I was bigger than cleaning, folding clothes, and just doing that all the time. Um, but having that fear of not being able to do anything, and how would I even start? Who would I even talk to? I can't talk to anybody. I'm shy. Um, uh, and believe it or not, I would say I was shy. And so I think that was a lot of that was my comfort zone. Is just I just felt I can picture myself being on the couch watching TV. That was my comfort zone, and just wishing I could do something and not doing anything at all.
I noticed that there's some emotion involved when you're talking about it. What's the emotion, and what's it what's it coming up? Why is it coming up for you right now?
Because because and I don't know what this means, but I always felt like there's something greater. There's something greater that I could do. Maybe, the thought of me being at home with my kids and at home, doing laundry and sweeping and mopping and cooking. Uh, Maybe the idea of that was just never something that I ever pictured for myself. I always pictured, I grew up with my parents, go to school so you can get a career, and um, go to school so you can get a career and you can have a good job, and you can be somebody. And so I think that the picture of me being at home and not doing anything for myself or for in this case I always pictured a career in a business, not doing any of those things was just something that didn't make me happy if I wasn't doing that. And so I think that that's what it gets me emotional, because I remember how I felt back then, just being here at home and watching TV and, just not doing anything in the world. Like I said, I don't know what that means, but I'm definitely so much full. I feel so much full when I am out doing something or creating something for myself that gives me perhaps a sense of uh, significance
Yeah.
and of existence, and that I wasn't here in the world just existing, and that I was actually doing something.
Mm. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we've had many conversations, some long ones, some profound ones over the years. And I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the transition that you made last year. So January of 2018, you said yes to something else in your life, to shifting something else in your life, and that was your body. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did, and then what took you to that point?
Yes, thank you for asking about that. So last year I took on uh, ending my battle with uh, weight problems that I had, and I took on having bariatric surgery. It's a process that is called BAGWA. That is gastric bypass of one anastomosis. Um, all the information about it, I don't remember what it was, but yes, I took that on. I took that on for several reasons. Um, it was something that, like I said, I have been, I battled with weight problems ever since I could remember. And it was something that I grew up with that was very, I felt so less of myself. I felt so inferior to everyone else. I felt ugly. Um, I never felt pretty. I never felt girly. I never felt, uh, gosh, cute. I never felt, even if I was wearing a dress, I just never felt girly enough. And it was just something that was always very bothering me. And I remember, when I was a teenager, um, of course, you start liking the boys and I would say, why don't they like me? I like that guy. I'm so in love with him. And I would always think, maybe if I would be skinny, he would like pay attention to me, or stuff like that. And but anyways, it was something that was so hard for me to deal with. And throughout throughout my life, I had one of the biggest things, or one of the biggest people that I had in my life that I felt it weighed so much on was my dad. My dad, he is a very physically fit person, and he has done tremendous things in his life. He's always been the best at what he does. He's taken on boxing. He's done Ironmans. He's done bodybuilding. Now he does mountain climbing, and he goes to the tallest mountains in Central America. And so it's always been something that he also, his business is related to sports. And or at least to me, I always felt like him having an overweight daughter, and when he is such a huge promoter of health and sports, how must that be for him that, here's his daughter and he can't get her to lose weight, but then, he's promoting to everyone else to be physically fit. And that was always something that I carried with me a lot. And I know he carried that as well because of, the way that he would speak to me, and know that it was very frustrating for him. And he didn't know how to motivate me, or how to inspire me, perhaps, or how to deal with having an overweight daughter. And
Isabel, just for a second, just to give people some context, when you say you mentioned problems with your weight or overweight, can you give us an idea? I don't have like a before and after picture or anything, but I want people to at least have a sense of what you're referring to.
Do you mean like how much I weighed? Is that what you're?
If that's what you want to share, of what?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
God,
what context?
how much
What
I
does
weigh?
overweight, or what does problems with weight look like?
Yeah, well, I was raised in Mexico. I was raised in Fresnillo, Zacatecas, Mexico, and I think I was always the chubbiest of everyone in school, in my family. I was probably weighing at my heaviest when I lived in Mexico, probably about 200 pounds. I mean, right now, I got to weigh 300 pounds, so 200 pounds seems like nothing. That's actually what I weigh right now, but I feel so good about it. And I'm like 8 months pregnant. But yeah, yeah, I weighed 200 pounds. I was about 15. I carried that weight till I was 15, 18, and then at that point I started losing just a little bit, but it was never much that would be like, oh yeah, she's losing weight, or anything like that. So nothing
was that?
felt cute enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that moment, similar to what you describe about getting off the couch and starting your business, what was that moment that you decided that you were going to do something about your weight, something like the surgery or whatever other intervention you just,
Yeah. So,
what made that happen?
yeah. So actually, it's, I think that, having the culture that my dad was providing for me. He actually owns his gym. He actually owns his own gym. So, there's aerobics classes. There's everything a gym has. And so, I always felt like, okay, I need to work out. I need to do this. And I mean, that's always something that I took on. I really wouldn't lose weight. It was so hard for me to lose weight. I come to United States and I get married and I gain 100 pounds. And I was really stuck on that weight for a very long time. So off and on, I would always take on going to different classes, taking different shakes, and doing stuff like that. But it was always. I mean, probably at the most, I would lose about 40 pounds and then just gain it right back. I took on also doing diet pills, and that would get my heart crazy. And doing stuff like that. And I think that a lot of us overweight people do the fall into doing a lot of the same things, or we think that we want to crash diet, and it works for a couple of weeks, and then we just go straight down. And so I had my third child, and that was almost 2 years ago. And wow, I was definitely at my heaviest. When I had her, I think I was about 320 pounds, and it was just too much. I didn't feel like it though. I definitely didn't feel that weight on me. Um, but it's always something that I would take on, and I would take on exercising and doing stuff like that. And it was just such a struggle. It was just such hard process. I can't explain it. It's a very hard thing to go through. And I think the experience that I have of being overweight and not being able to control that is it just feels so what is that word? A Impotent. Like there's such a feeling of impotency that you don't have control over your body. Like you want to, and you're trying, and you just can't. And I would go to CrossFit, and I would be there for hours and do stuff that nobody else was doing, or nobody else that was my weight would ever dare to do. And I would be like, why am I not losing weight? And then finally, it was November 2017. We had the loss of a family member, and he died very young, and he died of high blood pressure and things that started getting complicated from that. And we went to Mexico to go to his funeral. And in a conversation with my dad, he came to my room one morning, and he said, would you ever consider doing he actually said, would you consider doing liposuction? And I thought, what? My dad is asking me if I want to have liposuction. And I thought, okay. That threw me off, because my dad was always like a person of like, you got to work hard for it. You got to do this. And, which was always what I was trying to do. And so when he asked me that, I thought, well, let me look into that. He said, if you want to do something like that, I'll help you. I'll see how I can help you, and I can be a part of it.
What
And
was the feeling at the moment he said that? How did you feel?
it threw me off at the beginning, like, like I just said. And but then I got a sense of he's trying to help me. Um, he's trying to help me achieve something that he sees that I'm not able to achieve on my own. Um, and then those days that I was there visiting in Mexico, I started asking around, and I started getting information on doctors and different types of procedures and different places where I could have this procedure done. And then my dad he kept insisting. He kept insisting about me having a procedure done, but in a way of, I care for you and I would love to do this for you.
Mm.
And I think in a way and actually I don't think about it, but later on he mentioned to someone that he felt responsible about my weight.
Like responsible as in it was his fault, or responsible as in he needed to do something to help you, or what do you mean responsible?
That's a good question. I don't know, and I've never asked him that. I've never asked him that. But he did tell someone. He told one of my uncles that he felt responsible to a certain point, and I know that he felt responsible of. He definitely felt responsible in helping me achieve it. But I don't know what other responsible. I think he also probably felt responsible, maybe because of the way he would approach my weight issues, which was definitely, it was not motivating at all. And so I think that he was just taking responsibility for probably everything and how he handled everything. I started considering this, and I clearly remember that I had already considered this many years ago, and I'm talking about the weight loss surgery. I had thought about it many years ago, but also I saw it as a way of like an easy way out. And I thought, I don't want an easy way out. Like I want to earn it. And I tried earning it for many years. So finally, I saw myself in the same question: is this an easy way out? Am I just wanting to take the easy way out? Can I really not achieve it on my own? And so there was a whole process of a lot of questioning that I was doing, a lot of discovery for myself as, why am I going to take it on? Am I doing this for myself? Am I doing it because I want to look pretty? Am I doing it because I want to be healthy? Am I doing it for my kids? Am I doing it even to please my dad? Am I doing it for my husband? Am I doing it for someone else? So there was so much that I started questioning for myself, and I think that that's probably what took me the longest to make a decision whether I wanted to go ahead and take the surgery and do the surgery or not. Was I really wanted to discover what the true answer to that question was. And
Don't leave us hanging. What was the answer?
well, the answer was I I thought I was thinking one day about, somebody asked me, so just imagine when your daughter has her quinceañera, and I was like, oh my God, that's 15 years from now. And it hit me in that moment. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm 34. Whenever she's 15, I'm going to be 49. My kids are going to be such and such age. And I think that what hit me the most was wow, I'm going to be 49. At the rate that I'm going, at the way that I'm going with over 300 pounds, what is my quality of life going to be? And the biggest thing was, am I even still going to be around? So that is definitely what had me take it on. And then I just trusted the procedure. I found a great doctor, and but it was that. Am I going to be around for her? And so, as a parent, as a human, as just a human being, you want to be around the most time you can, especially when you have kids. I think the thought of there's a fear of what if I'm not with them? You know, are they going to be? Who's going to care for them? Who's going to love them? And who's going to care for them as much as I do? And you know, stuff like that. So that's definitely what had me make the decision of changing that for myself and to have a better quality of life.
Wow. You know, it's not, we don't all have the experience of having this life or death moment, right? Or an opportunity to reflect. But I do think when we're stuck somewhere in life, whether that be stuck in a relationship or stuck in a career choice or stuck in a community you don't want to be in anymore, or stuck in some aspect of our life financially, any of that, that's a wonderful question to pose to ourselves. You know, you not only ask yourself about, you know, what would I look like and how would that be for me? You know, will I be able to shop? Or like you said, some of the external factors, will this be helpful how I look to other people in my life? But it seems like the biggest question for us to ask ourselves is, are we going to be fulfilled by the quality of life that we have with this particular situation or in that particular, you know, that place where we're stuck? And it seems that that's what really had you shift when you decided that the quality of life, you saw the quality of life you wanted to have.
Oh, yeah.
You pictured what the quality of life is. And I think there's a lot of us that don't necessarily have a picture of the quality of life. You know, we kind of exist. And
whoa, that just took me to the other conversation we were having. Yeah.
What was that? What was the whoa? What was that?
The conversation we were having the other day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, let's bring it up. Let's bring it up. That's the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't want to get so far deep that we didn't get to engage those that are on the call today. But yeah, the quality of life conversation that you and I were having was, like, yeah, when do you pursue your dream, right? I'll just kind of put this in a little capsule here. So our conversation was, how do you pursue your dream? And is having that particular dream a better quality of life than a different type of dream?
Yeah.
That's kind of the choice. It sounds like the choice that you were stuck in at the time. And yeah, I think, you know, it really comes down to, I've not had the same amount of pressure around it, but I've had body issues all my life too. And I say, you know, and I'll sort of briefly.
I can't believe that.
You don't believe that?
It's true. I know.
No, but here's the thing, the quality of life piece coming back. I remember, you know, when I was very young, there was a moment, I was like 9 years old, and, you know, we had a live-in sitter who was raped. I hate to just put it out there, but she was raped by a group of young people. I was 9, so for me, young people, they were older, obviously teenagers, maybe older teens.
Wow.
Teenager, and then the culture that we were in Panama at the time, men looking at women and whistling or saying piropos, like we say, you know, compliments, that sort of thing, was a pretty common thing. But somehow I associated in my mind that kind of attention would lead to that type of trauma.
Yeah,
Okay? So for me, putting on a little weight, not dressing that very feminine for many years, I would say up to beyond college, really, was the way I kept myself safe. And I don't think I ever noticed, I mean, it wasn't like a conscious thing, right? We have all sorts of reasons why we do or don't do certain things, but it wasn't a conscious thing for me. But when I unpacked that, years ago, I realized, oh, that's why, I perhaps didn't wear like very bright colors, or I didn't wear dresses or skirts that often, or, those thought a lot about what was comfortable for me. And, you mentioned the comfort zone earlier. And I think, and I'm not speaking just to make that comparison, but I think when we get to the question of, okay, what's the quality of life we're having now? And I had a mirror held up in front of me at one point by a really great friend. And I was like, you know what? No, I don't feel on the inside the way I show up on the outside. How can I make those two match up better? And I think that's really the big question here is, when our comfort zone keeps us stuck, so the external circumstances, whether that be our body, whether that be our life, our home, our career, our relationships, don't match up with the quality that we want to experience internally, those are the questions that need to be, we need to ask. So I'm going to pause for a second with that, because this has got so interesting. I want to engage those that are joining us today in this session to hear, what are you hearing for yourself in this conversation? And where might you be stuck, or where have you gotten unstuck that you'd love to share? So if you're on the phone and you'd like to unmute yourself, you can hit *6 and unmute yourself and speak. If you want to use the chat and write something in the chat and share, I'll be happy to read that. Or if you're on the computer, you can unmute yourself. But I want to invite, at least a couple of you to share. What are you hearing? What are you experiencing in this conversation so far? Sure, Francis, why don't you go ahead and share?
I had to get off of mute.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you, Isabel.
Nice to meet you.
What I was thinking is that you were looking forward to the age of 49 and what your life would be like. And I was thinking about people who are in my age bracket. When we look forward, it's like we almost have to create it.
Oh,
because I think that you get that basically our culture does not know what to do with somebody. I was at with a group of people yesterday, and there's a woman there who is so full of life. She drives her car all the time on her own, and she exercises, and she's really very, very active as a member of the group. And she celebrated her 96th birthday yesterday.
Woo!
And I'm thinking that that's going to be the norm for those of us who have, that sense of looking forward to. But the thing that's not in place is, what do you do with it when you're 96, when you're 100? Peter Diamata said we should really look forward to being 110 to 120. I don't think that we're prepared for that. So it got me thinking about that when you were thinking about what is my life going to be like when I'm 49? And I'm thinking, what is my life going to be like when I'm 110?
Wow.
And nobody really tells me what to do with that. So in a way, I have to invent it. And so part of what I think is that it's our job to encourage each other, to look at how to really make that a quality life. Because otherwise, I think a lot of people are heading towards a future that they're not prepared for. So anyways, that's just some ideas, but it really struck a chord with me.
I love that. Francis, I'm curious, so when you're talking about inventing life, and I think all of us at any stage, especially if we're stuck somewhere and we don't see beyond that circumstance, we have to invent something. So what is the process for invention for you? Like now that you're present to, you want to go to 110, how do you start inventing?
Well, the first stage that I realized, by background, I've always worked as a therapist. And I was trained to think in terms of stages. So you're a child, and then you become an adolescent, and then you become a young adult, and then you become a middle adult. And then what happens as you get older, when you become an older adult, we don't have any goals for people who are older. We have goals for somebody who's a teenager. We have goals for somebody who's an adult taking care of their family. So I think one of the things that I first had to realize is that I'm moving into a stage of life, older adulthood, that really has no goals. And so it forced me to realize if I don't invent them, if I don't start to think about what I want a quality of life to look like, it's not going to happen. And so that's why so many people, I think, are resigned. As they get older, they're resigned to, there's really nothing for me to do. I'm going to be a burden to my family. They have all these things that are excuses that really are not relevant at a time when we have so many more options for a healthy lifestyle. But we have to, in a way, be the person who chooses it. We're responsible for our own future. Now, maybe that's true, listening to Isabel, you talked about that, in your life. So I think it's something that we learn all the way along is, I guess if I'm responsible, it doesn't end when I get older. It's just starting.
Wow.
You give us all hope, Francis.
That is incredible. Wow. And that is so true. It's like, you do see like your life of goals as you're an adult, and then it's like, oh, you have the picture of, oh, once you get to a certain age, I can just chill now. But no, that is true. So, if we do have the opportunity to live to 110, what are we going to do? We can't just chill. Let's keep creating, right? Wow, that was so awesome. Wow, thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I will be creating to 110.
110. We'll throw a party for you.
That sounds like a goal. It's funny. I think what I'm also hearing you say, Francis, and what you shared earlier with us, Isabel, is that the shift that's happening, and I think it's happening for all of us at all ages, right? It's continuous. For some, is more evident than others. But it's the shift from what we do, right? The things that we do, to shifting to how we or who we are being, right? From the doing to the being. And being really mindful about that, the career we have, or the relationship we have, or the home that we live in, or the car that we drive, or, all those external trappings that, those hashtag goals that we make about acquiring those things, they have an expiration, right? Maybe not just the item or the situation or that phase itself has the expiration, but our relative satisfaction or fulfillment from that has an expiration date. But the shifting to the being doesn't have an expiration date. What I'm hearing, Francis, is that you're growing older and you're thinking about what that future is, and the invention of it. And the being is the goal, right? Identifying who you're going to be, and then that will arrange certain circumstances and manifesting certain items or elements or adventures, right? Does that resonate?
What I heard, because I wrote down when I was listening, Isabel, I wrote down purpose, because you mentioned the word purpose when you were talking earlier. And what I think about, and this is where it relates, Valerie, to what you're talking about. What I think about is that I used to think you have a car, and so you can be happy. You have a certain weight, and so, you can feel good about yourself. And all these things that are external are designed to help us to feel better internally. And as I get older, and when I look at being, I think we reverse that. It's like, I'm not here to have cars and a house and a lifestyle that's going to make me happy. But what I do is I bring my happiness to my lifestyle. I bring my joy and my love to my family. I bring my being qualities, which are maybe for me the biggest one that is the core is joy. I bring my joy to what I do. And can I start my day with that? And then as I grow older, it's not that life owes me something, but it's more an opportunity, like to be able to bring what I can to life. And that's what I think, we would call being, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're saying some great things, Francis. First of all, I just...
He just touched my soul.
Well, so the good news is Francis is we're scheduled to have a conversation on another time to come a live session in the future. So gotta save some of these nuggets, Francis, for that conversation, because this is great. And oh man, I think you nailed it. And really, the title of this session, The Time to Come Alive, even there's the quiz that I did mention to you all in the beginning, but please take the quiz, www.bringtolife.com, to see where you are in that spectrum. Like, where is your mindset as it relates to some of these external areas of life? Because what you said, Francis, is that we have to have whatever that inside thing is what we express outwardly. Right? That's in essence what happens when we nurture what's inside of us. Then what manifests outside of us matches up. But it has to start with the inside first. The car and the lifestyle doesn't necessarily lead to joy, right? But when we feel joy, it has us pick a certain kind of car, or it has us pick a certain kind of partner. It has us pick a certain type of job, right? We get to express that internal feeling in the external action, right? Into external action. Oh, so good. But we're going to come back to you, Francis. Wow. We have more conversation. I want to engage another person in the call. So if anybody else has a comment, what are you hearing? What are you seeing for yourself in your life? Meg, so you raise your hand, Meg. Go ahead and unmute yourself. What do you have to share? Oh, hang on. Let me unmute you, Meg. All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, there's just so much that I've related to in this conversation. First with the feeling stuck and the wanting to do something and not knowing how to get there, and then the problems with weight, which I have, and then being an older person and not knowing what my goals are or even should be at this stage, and so a lot of feelings going on right here. But I've been, and I have a hard time talking in front of people. Sorry if I'm stumbling over my words, but I'm gonna try.
You're doing beautifully, Meg.
Oh, thank you. I am working towards, and I am so glad that I found your sessions, because it's truly been a blessing for me to hear all the things that you're talking about and putting out there. I am working towards possibly moving back to Dallas. I have moved to my hometown of Stephenville because I got sick, and I do have a chronic illness, but I'm feeling better. And I have been in the process of trying to get on disability and keep getting denied. And I'm coming to the point where I'm saying, do I really want to do that? I mean, to me, that's giving up. And I've been a nurse, an LVN, for over 40 years. I let my license go on inactive status this last time because I haven't been able to work. And I have also started doing a peer recovery coach thing that I did the classes for when I was in Dallas, because I'm a recovering alcoholic, been in Alcoholics Anonymous for 40 years. Hadn't been sober that long, but you know, at least continuously. Been sober almost that long, I guess. So I've been looking at what it is that I really want to do, and how to share myself with other people, and get to the how do you do what I need to do to be happy within myself, I guess. You know, I've been, I write and I draw and I paint, and I've done these things all my life. I play the piano. My creative stuff have always taken the back seat to the practical things, because I was taught growing up, my mom was a songwriter and a playwright and had very limited success in her lifetime. And I was taught early on that those things are hobbies. You cannot make a living doing that, and you have to do something practical. So I've therefore done the practical thing, you know, my whole life, and stayed, you know, kept the other things as hobbies. So those are some of the things that I've been looking at and working toward. I've had a healing experience here recently where I had a sudden, huge improvement in my health, and that was after going to the women's retreat in Belton. It was pretty profound, and it's something that I want to hang on to. I don't know how it happened, but I'm definitely a fan of it. The weight thing for me is not something that I've had all my life. Like Isabel, you know, I started putting on the weight when I got sick. Well, I actually put on weight after I started having my kids. I had my kids and put on weight. But the huge amount of weight that I've gained started when I was sick, when I got sick with the lung disease and heart disease. But I'm saying a lot of things, so yeah.
I appreciate you saying all those things. I think, you know, really what I'm hearing from you is you're now at a point in your life where you want to continue to contribute. It's funny when I go back to what you said about being practical, or you were taught to be practical, and there is a certain amount of practicality that we have to exercise in order to survive, right, in this world. We have to eat, we have to have some sort of shelter, we have to maintain some modicum of health, right, so that we continue to survive. But what I'm hearing though is, how can we nurture the inner talent that you have, or the inner gifts that you have, so that's the fuel to do the practical thing. So that becomes fuel for us. And that might look like, in your case, you know, the arts, right? Painting and drawing and playing the piano. For some of us, it might look like journaling, sitting in nature, going for a walk. Some people might do yoga. Some people might go for a run. Some people might take on travel, right? There's all sorts of ways that we nurture our inner life. Right? What I'm hearing, and I think we have the opportunity to choose how to nurture our inner life and allow that fuel to drive our doing the practical things. Right? So, and it's tough. I think we have a society that where we have this dichotomy between being, living my purpose and working and having my work reflect my purpose in life. But I think the purpose is our being, not our doing. We get those two things kind of collapse. Oh, this has opened up like 20 million other subjects, but I want to be respectful of our time. We've hit our 9:45 end times, Central Time anyhow, and I want to be respectful of that. But we can continue for a few moments longer for those of you who are willing to stay on to continue the conversation. We can for a few more minutes, and those of you who have to jump off, thank you so much for joining us today. Want to encourage you all to register if you haven't. Well, obviously all of you registered in order to be on Zoom. If you have other friends or family members that you think would participate or would like to receive the recordings, you have to register on Zoom in order to do that. And I will be sending out the recording a little later this week, so that if you missed any part of it, you can go back and listen to it. Or if you want to refresh or represent yourself to any part of this conversation, you can do so. I want to encourage you all to go to social media and share it with other people. I think such a beautiful conversation. Isabel, you shared so much of yourself and your journey. And then, obviously Francis and Meg, your contribution to this conversation also has, I'm sure, stirred up a lot of interesting thoughts from people. I don't want to miss out on that. So share this once it goes out. I'll post it on Facebook and on LinkedIn. So share as you see fit. And if you have the opportunity to take the quiz, like I said, www.bringjoytolife.com, that would be great. I do want to write at least Isabel's company name for those of you who are looking for an event designer or invitation. Isabel, you're out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, correct?
I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yes,
Tulsa.
I am.
Yes, but I just put her company name in the chat. But Isabel, can you tell us your company name and where they can find you?
Yes, the business name is Isazi Creates and Invites, and you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. And you can call me. The number where you can reach me is 918-798-1823. And we are definitely committed to making this event, and again, for making your events unforgettable. So yeah, definitely call us for whatever needs you have.
And that's Isazi, Issazii.
Yes, Creates and Invites.
All right, and what's that number again? 918-718?
918-798-1823.
1823. I'll put that in the chat as well, so you guys have.
Thank you.
Oh, good. All right, so those of you who have to jump off, feel free. I'm going to continue the recording. This is like the after show. But I do want to see if there's anybody else that has something else to share. Some good things. Catherine, I see your hand raised. So Catherine, jump on in, please.
Good morning, and thank you for sharing, Isabel and Francis. But there's so much that spoke to me today. So I think I definitely needed to hear this in terms of the being stuck, in terms, all of it pretty much. But recently I had a car accident at the end of December. And so I started seeking treatment. At first I just thought, well, there's nothing wrong, I feel okay. And then it just started kicking in all of a sudden. And I had thoughts associated with that, because prior to that I thought, oh, so many people are just trying to, get over on insurance companies and, all these different things. And then I started realizing that it was a true pain. And so I started going to see a chiropractor and getting adjustments and trying to seek natural healing versus like the synthetic form. And then this past weekend, I took a fall, like just randomly. I was rushing for church on Sunday, and I slipped in my bathroom, going from the carpet into the restroom. And I just was like, okay, this is the devil trying to keep me from going to church. So let me, continue moving. But I feel like I took a few steps backwards, because I thought I just started feeling better after a few months of doing my therapy and doing these kinds of things. And then it led into, okay, I haven't been able to work out, which as Francis mentioned, like sometimes I think for me, what I realized is it wasn't so much just about the weight thing. I didn't struggle either. I did bodybuilding my first years in college. And so, but I always had my mother kind of in my ear about, oh, when I was your age, I didn't struggle with weight. And, and I don't think our parents realize some of the things that they instill in us with that. I'm not saying they do it on purpose. I think she had the best of intentions, but
Yeah.
as I got older, and life started to happen, and I started having female hormonal issues, weight started to come on, and I have a thyroid condition, and so it just kind of spiraled. And then my mother passed in 2005 due to hypertension and a heart arrhythmia. And it occurred to me when I turned 45 a couple of years ago that, wow, that could happen to me. And I don't want to die at 55. And while I don't have kids, I have nieces and nephews. And, I thought, I'm not ready. And I had gained a significant amount of weight. I went up to like close to 200 pounds, and I'm not very tall. So for me, it was quite a bit of weight. And losing her, I felt like, okay, something has got to change. And then, but there was a lot of body shaming associated with me because I was also, and this is a lot, like I said, it's a lot, my head's kind of just spinning, but I also was molested as a kid. So I started therapy for that as well, about 4 years ago, I guess, because mine was suppressed. And so I started seeing how it was all related, and why, as a kid, I was a tomboy. I always wore pants. I didn't like wearing dresses. My mom wanted me to be girly, and I was not girly. I was out playing football with the boys and playing basketball and always in sports. And, people look at me now, they're like, yeah, right. But I really was a huge tomboy. And I think a part of it was because I felt like if I looked a certain way or acted a certain way, then I was welcoming that abuse, And so while it started as a child, at the time, I don't think I was like consciously making these decisions or choices, but it was just because of my experience. Yeah. And so now that I'm older, I struggle with, okay, what is my purpose? And I'm blessed with a career that I've had now like almost 22 years, but I've been praying constantly about, okay, what is my purpose, and how can I help other women not, first of all, like through the abuse, realize that it's not your fault. When it happens to you as a child, it doesn't, at any age, it's not your fault, when you're sexually abused, but it just, it's amazing how it's all related, and hearing all of you share and speak about it has made me realize, like, thank you again for sharing. And I'm blessed that I found your talks as well, Valerie, in this initiative, because it's something that every week it speaks to me. And so this week was even more so. And so now I guess the stuck part is realizing, okay, where do I go from here, right? Because I'm very analytical, and it's like life just in general isn't black and white, right? So I try to, okay, what's my next step? What's my next step? And like Frances was saying, like, I haven't even thought that far. I'm at this point, like, okay, I'm going to make it to 55. And now I'm like 8 years away from there.
Oh, there's more to go, Catherine.
I'm like, okay, now I have to think to 100.
No, 110.
110.
That's the new goal. That's the new goal. Thanks for that.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Catherine, thank you so much for sharing what you said. I think, there's, like I said in the beginning, every single person on this planet, I'm sure, has a place in their life at some point in time where we've been stuck in a pattern of thinking, or stuck in a pattern of behavior, or stuck in certain circumstances in our life that we've made it mean something that then sticks us in other places. Right? Like in your case where you mentioned the molestation, and, I had mentioned having a nanny or babysitter that was raped. And, Isabel, you said that what you were stuck in your your weight. All of us have some area of our life where we've experienced that. I think what, Frances, what you said, I will come back to it, is we also, because we, I want to say this carefully because obviously the circumstances that we've experienced, in some cases, the trauma that's generated is profound, right? And what's been happening in the circumstances around it. And as we continue to evolve and continue to expand our awareness about ourselves, about the world, about the story, like, what Meg said, about the stories that we've been told when we were young, and what we took on, what we chose to adapt or believe or adopt into our own life. All of those are choices that we make. Some of them unconscious, many cases unconscious choices or decisions really that we make. We decide something and that has us play a certain, we play a certain game based on the decision that we make. We show up a certain way. And like going back to what Frances mentioned is we have an invitation. And I want to extend an invitation. If you're not hearing this for yourself, I'm going to extend it to you. You have an invitation to invent the life that you want. We invented, not invented as in make believe, but invent as in create. We created some meaning around the experiences of our youth, experiences of our circumstances that we had to live with or experience. We now have the opportunity to create, an invitation to create something else. So that, the next, if you're going to live to 110, make it the best living possible. The quality of life, like Ms. Isabel mentioned earlier, the quality of life that we get to create is really our choice. So pick the stuff that you want to take on, And I have to start watching Marie Kondo. She's just been coming up into my consciousness so much. That's the woman who helps people organize. But she talks about what sparks joy. That's the question that she asks her clients before they get rid of something or before they decide to keep something. Does it spark joy? Does it look good on me? Not does it fit well? Not do other people like it? Do I always get compliments on it? Is this the way people expect me to be or to act or to show up, or the career that I should have? Is this the partner that they talk about that I should have because I need whatever? But does it spark joy? And that's a question to figure out, I think, each of us to explore. What does that spark look like? What's the sensation? What's the emotion? So that we're so clear that when we experience a spark of joy, that's it. And now, okay, that's something that I need to keep, or something I need to look at, something I need to be curious about. Oh, we could talk for hours. This has been phenomenal.
That's a great question. That's a great question, though, Valerie. And I think that it is definitely, it's a simple question. And I think that could make such a huge difference if we always asked ourselves that question. If it doesn't, maybe move on to something else. But yeah, definitely. That is a question that I'm definitely going to take on more. I'm definitely going to. Actually, not more. I'm going to take it on. Anytime that I find a situation, I'm going to ask myself, does that spark joy? That's a great question.
Ooh. And I want you to invite, especially because we're talking about getting unstuck, the guest that we had, Gail Blair. She was our guest in the February 12th issue. So if you want to go back and watch that session, we talk about resistance. And when do you pursue resistance? Like, when do you try to work towards it and break through? And when is the resistance telling you this is not for you? And I think those are some distinctions that we also need to make, because when we're stuck, sometimes stuck could mean pushing through the stuck part to the next phase, like progressing forward. Sometimes being stuck means now there's a crossroad. You can go left, right? Being stuck doesn't necessarily mean you push through. It could mean you deviate, you go to a different direction. Yeah. And she brings up some really interesting distinctions. So I invite you all to look at that particular episode. And I'll actually, when I share this episode with you guys this week, I'll make a note of that so that you can go back and listen if you haven't, or refresh, listen to what she says about that.
Perfect.
All right, everyone,
Thank
just
you so
celebrate
much.
for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up, for reflecting with us and sharing what you shared. Isabel, thank you so much for being a part of this. I just want to acknowledge your bold, creative, joyful, loving, transparent self and vulnerable self that you brought to this call today. And
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you again for the invitation. I really appreciate it. You know I love you.
I love you too.
See you soon over there in
All right.
Dallas. And thank you so much.
Yes.
For the invitation.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be having more conversations.
Oh, way more. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week and hope to see you. Thank you.
What was that?